Hey guys, HDV here and welcome to a brand new video. Today we've got some pretty big news to go over. More patents have been filed for Pokemon Legends EA. We also have some new Gen 10 updates to go over as well regarding what redevelopment said. And we have a new Legends EA rumor as well. There's a lot of things to break down and take a look at today. So if you're excited for the video, make sure to drop a like down below. Let's try and hit 500 likes. It really helps out. Leave a comment with your thoughts on anything we cover in today's video. Subscribe if you're brand new. Ring the notification bell. With all of that out of the way, let's get into the video and I really hope that you enjoy. So, starting things off, let's take a look at this new patent for Pokemon Legends ZA. So obviously we covered something very similar to this a couple of weeks ago, which basically confirms rideable Pokemon being in Pokemon Legends ZA. And this new patent sort of talks about catching Pokemon and also a first-person mode as well. At least that's what I'm taking away from it. You guys, I guess, can come up with your own conclusion about it. But let's take a look at the kind of main points of this patent. So it says storage, medium, storing, game program, game system, game apparatus, and game processing method. You also have to note that the language used in these patents are very, very like precise. They use a lot of big words and it's very much like technological language. But it says in a first mode, so I'm assuming that's first person mode, or it could be the first mode of like catching a Pokemon. An aiming direction in a virtual space is determined based on a second operation input, and a player character is caused to launch in the aiming direction. An item that affects a field character disposed on a field in the virtual space based on a third operation input. So that's the first mode. So that seemingly is aiming. What I'm taking away from that is either it's first person mode or this first mode is the player aiming the Pokeball at the Pokemon. So that would confirm that kind of overworld catching is going to be in Pokemon Legends EA again, just like it was in Pokemon Legends Arceus, which I was a massive fan of. Because that also means that like outbreaks are probably going to return and stuff like that. It just seems that they're bringing a lot of the features from Legends Arceus back into Pokemon Legends EA. So that's the first mode. And then in the second mode, the aiming direction is determined based on the second operation input. And the player character is caused to launch in the aiming direction a fighting character that fights based on the third operation input. So that to me seems like that's going to be where you throw your own Pokemon at the Pokemon and then it starts the battle. In that sense, it does say the aiming direction is determined, so it could also be just catching a Pokemon whilst you're already in a fight with it, because when you don't aim when you're in the battle because you just throw it automatically. But when it says, you know, in the aiming direction, a fighting character that fights, so I'm assuming that means a Pokemon. So this looks like it's confirming that overworld catching is back, and also you can throw your Pokemon at the overworld Pokemon as well. There's a bit more information about it as well. I mean, a lot of it, like I say, is very technological and stuff like that, so it's kind of difficult to sort of, I guess, decipher what they're saying. You know, because it says, thus by switching between the first mode and the second mode, the player character can be caused to perform different actions, i.e. an action of launching at a field character as a target on a field, an item that affects the field character, and an action of launching a fighting character that fights against a field character on a field, according to an operation input for causing the player character to perform a launching action in the direction indicated by an aiming input. And then obviously this item may include at least a catching item for catching the field character, so that obviously confirms the overworld catching. The game program may further cause the computer to perform operations comprising when the catching item launched in the first mode hits the field character, performing successful catch determination relating to whether or not the catcher is successful, and then when the result of the successful catch determination is positive, setting the field character hit by the catching item in a player's position. So yeah, I mean, look, it's something that we were all kind of expecting, I guess, to an extent of it being in the game, but it's just nice to get that confirmation. And as well as that, it's like, because we're stuck in the city of Lumiose, like that's what the game is apparently all going to be set in. How are they going to have these wild Pokemon? Because if overworld catching is back, that means there's got to be like loads of Pokemon just dotted around the city that we can obviously go out and catch, and that we can go out and fight as well. So that's more or less making me believe that this game is going to have like the outskirts of Lumiose. It's going to have forests, it's going to have oceans around Lumiose, and they're the different kind of zones that we can go to. And in those zones, we can catch Pokemon, and that's where they fight us and stuff. And that's still based in Lumiose back in this time or in the future, whenever this is set. And that's why it does say, you know, it all take place in Lumiose. So I don't know, it's cool that overworld catching is back. I'm very happy about that. I'm very happy that they haven't gotten rid of it, because it's a really cool feature. And yeah, rideable Pokemon confirmed to be back, judging on these patents, and also overworld catching is also back as well. But I'm assuming we'll see this in like the next trailer regardless. I think we'll just have that anyway, but either way, it's nice to get the confirmation now. So that's that. Moving on, we do have some Generation 10 updates to go over as well regarding what Riddler-Coup has recently said. So this comes from Rookie Z, so massive shout out to them for this theory, and this is a theory based on what Riddler-Coup has said, and that Generation 10 is most likely going to be set in India, I do believe. So they start things off by saying, here's why India might be the next location for Pokemon Generation 10. I'm not 100% certain, obviously nobody is until we get the game, but I think I've finally managed to connect all the dots. Let's get started. So, let's talk about the first point, which is the latest post by Riddler-Coup regarding the Generation 10 hint. So obviously we went over the Generation 10 hints in yesterday's video, I want to say. The emoji he shared resembles the typical Indian greeting style, which is Namaste, where we join our hands to greet each other. Secondly, the character Geeta in Pokemon Scarlet and Pokemon Violet has a distinctly Indian name. Her skin and hair color also match the Indian tone accurately. The interesting thing is that Gita is the name of a Hindu holy book. Lastly, Nintendo isn't officially in India due to conflicts with the government's BIS policies. However, an IGN report suggests they are planning to enter the Indian market. Wouldn't Pokemon Generation 10 be a great way to attract Indian fans and boost console sales? And that's the IGN report there as well. And then also bonus, according to Light88's latest post, the codename for Generation 10 could be Indus, hinting at India in two ways. So Indus represents the ancient Indian civilization, the Indus Valley, and then Indus is a constellation that symbolizes the Indians. So again, some good kind of, I guess, points for it being set in India. Again, the majority of people believe it's going to be either Italy or India, and this is definitely some good points for it to be in India. And I think India would be a cool region as well. As well as that, we do have Copperajah as well, which is kind of like, I guess, an elephant that looks like it's based, because of the design and stuff, that it could be from India. And in that Pokedex entry, it does state that it comes from a region far away. So maybe that is the region, like Generation 10 is this Indian region that Copperajah comes from, and that's why we don't have the name of the region in the Pokedex entry, because it's a future generation. Again, this looks like it could be what Generation 10 is set on. It kind of makes sense in that regard. But either way, let me know your thoughts on this. Where do you think it's going to be set? India, Italy, or somewhere completely different? This is just going based off of what Riddler-Coup has said, and his credibility is still kind of up in the air a little bit. But let me know your thoughts on all of this. And then we also have Soul Silverheart kind of talking about the sort of codename situation as well, and if this kind of hint is towards the codename. So, time for clarity on codenames. There is nothing that suggests Riddler-Coup's hint is a codename, but if it was, codenames rarely mean anything. Only more recently with Pokemon Scarlet and Violet's codename being Titan. There are types of Pokemon Titans in Scarlet and Violet. In English, there are Pokemon literally named Titans, and its DLC being Sudachi, which is Ogerpon, is a citrus tree. Did those have a more prominent relation to the content of the games? So it's possible that this is a new change where they make codenames mean something. And obviously, judging by this as well, if they do start doing that, obviously Indus does have quite a few, like say, relations to India in that sense. So if they have started changing the way that they use codenames, and that would also be another kind of positive for an Indian region. But as of right now, Legend ZA or Ikaku apparently translates to Narwhal or One Horn. I doubt it has anything to do with something in Pokemon Legend ZA, unless like the A legendary, if that's what we're going to get, has a massive horn or something. But I guess that's also a different team than the one working on Generation 10. And then here's a list of all the codenames so you can see what they are often are significant of anything. So obviously this is what we went over in yesterday's video anyway, so we won't go over those again. But yeah, just kind of more food for thought. We're just kind of trying to break down what Riddler-Coup meant by this sort of riddle, really. I'm sure he'll give out some more information soon. If he does know where the next generation is going to be set, then surely he's just going to post more riddles about it, because he's actually got something to riddle now, whereas before he has obviously had nothing. But either way, let me know your thoughts on all of that, the patent and stuff, and also all the Generation 10 stuff. Finishing things off for today's video, we've got a new rumor to go over. This was posted on Friday, the 4th of October, posted by Anonymous, and they have ZA stuff, and then also they have Generation 10, I believe that is as well. Obviously, it's taken from 4chan. As always, take it with a massive grain of salt. Most of the time, and pretty much all the time, they are fake, but you never know, sometimes they are true. But it says ZA. So, there's going to be a tree-like octopus legendary, and that is the A legendary. So, again, we don't know what that A is. A lot of people, myself included, think it is going to be a legendary Pokemon. It could be a character. It could be a, I don't know, like a building or something. You don't know. It could be an area, a location. We really don't know. But apparently, it's going to be a tree-like octopus legendary. So, it is the life force of the Kalos ecosystem. It doesn't have any of its capability to maintain, but to provide. So it has Zygarde, Yveltal, and Xerneas in its steed. So obviously Zygarde does want to kind of keep the ecosystem in check, so maybe that's the relation there. Mythical, there is a Squirrel, who is a companion Pokemon in the story like Koraidon and Miraidon, has a Mega Evolution that becomes activated during the final boss against to Mega Evolved Corrupted Zygarde. I'm assuming that's to battle against. So that would mean that Zygarde's getting a Mega Evolution, but it's also corrupted, and this mythical Squirrel is going to be used to fight it. Again, that's judging on the kind of whole theory about all the legendaries and stuff, and why that's where the Squirrel kind of comes from, on what these are all based on. So all three get corrupted, so I'm assuming that's Zygarde, Yveltal, and Xerneas. So you spend the story fighting the Quasar to recover back to their original states in order to restore the ecosystem. The reason they're corrupted is so that Quasar can proceed their rapid expansion of Lumiose at the expense of the ecosystem around it. A legendary is angered, so the A legendary, not a legendary, so the A legendary is angered, and it sends a Squirrel Mythical after them. Only the Squirrel and Zygarde get Mega Evolutions in Legendary Mythicals department. So that's not ideal, because I feel like Xerneas and Yveltal kind of have to get one. You know, in all these sort of like games like this, the legendaries do usually get them. Obviously in Legends Arceus, we got Primal Dialga and Primal Palkia. Not Palkia. Yes, Palkia, sorry. Dialga and Palkia got their origin forms, not Primal. The Primals were for the Generation 3 legendaries, Kyogre and Groudon. So in this game, you'd like to think that Xerneas and Yveltal will also get something like that, because when Mega Evolution or something like that is introduced into an old region, you think that like some of the legendaries are going to get some sort of like some piece of that pie. Anyway, that's all the Legends ZA stuff apparently. Again, it doesn't really sound too legit. I don't really like the idea of a mythical story, a mythical Squirrel being the kind of focus of the story. I feel like Zygarde should be the focus. And I guess if it does that, it does get a corrupted Mega Evolution, but at the same time, I don't like the fact that Xerneas and Yveltal also do not get forms. And anyway, we're moving on to Generation 10. So, there's going to be a new form of Gimmighoul, but it's a banknote. Dude, that just looked so terrible. Just a banknote running around. I mean, we've had ice creams, we've had keys, we've had all sorts of Pokemon kind of forms, but a banknote? I mean, Gimmighoul itself isn't anything to do with money, it just lives in a chest. You know, the Pokemon itself isn't like a coin or anything, so it just being, unless it like lived in a banknote, but I don't know how that would work, but I don't know, it just sounds kind of stupid really to me. It has a roaming form with a green banknote tied around its neck, and a catchable form that's a money bag. Like, if it was in a money bag, you kind of understand that, because it's a little bit different, but if it's just a banknote, it just sounds stupid. A new Ghost Fairy evolution that looks like a shaggy party monster appears alongside the coin Gimmighoul. So, the only bit of information they give us about Generation 10 is that, and then also a Kamala split evolution. But if they knew anything about Gen 10, surely they'd give us like the region or something like that. Like, it's just dumb that they picked these two things to give us. But yeah, there's new Kamala split evolutions based on the time of day. That's kind of cool, to be fair, because it is like the sleeping Pokemon. So maybe there's a nocturnal version of it, and then obviously just like a normal day version of it, and then depending on what time of day it is, obviously it evolves into like a nocturnal version of Kamala, or like just a regular day version of Kamala. So I like that idea. That's kind of cool. One that becomes a scary monster that looks like has been awoken from its sleep, which is fair enough, you know. And then during the day, and then another being sleeping leaf munching koala that you can get at night. So the one in the day is annoyed because you woke it up early, and then the one at night is just eating leaves and stuff. I don't know. This rumor's very, very terrible. Like, it doesn't even, I don't know why there's a dolphin there as well. It just doesn't really make any sense. I'm gonna call this fake, definitely cap, 100%. Do not believe this at all. Let me know your thoughts on this rumor though. Do you think it's true? Would you like it to be true or not? I really, really hope it isn't. And then also let me know your thoughts on the Gen 10 stuff as well. What do you think that Riddler-Coup meant by this sort of this kind of like praying emoji? And then also, do you think that the game is going to be set in India, or do you think it's going to be set in Italy, or where would you like it to be set in? Obviously I'd like it to be set in Australia the most, but I don't think it's going to be Australia. I don't think anything that Riddler-Coup has posted about Generation 10 has anything to do with Australia really. So I'm more inclined to believe it's going to be India now, but either way we'll have to wait and see. If it is Italy, obviously we've just had a couple of European generations, like Gen 8 Europe, Generation 9 Europe, Generation 7 was America, Generation 6 Europe. So we have had quite a few European regions. So for them to go back to Italy, like 3 in a row is kind of crazy. So maybe that's why they'd be like going to India. But either way, let me know your thoughts on that, and also the painting as well. Are you happy to see, I guess, just in time, real time kind of catching and stuff returning in Pokemon Legends Z8? But thank you for watching. If you enjoyed, drop a like down below. Just trying to hit 500 likes does really help out. Of course, like I say, leave a comment on everything we covered. Subscribe if you're brand new. Ring the notification bell for daily Pokemon content. Have a fantastic rest of your day. And until next time, peace.